What's up, fam? This your boy Sugar Belize, aka El Negro de Santana, and I'm here to share some knowledge, basics. I was gonna call this season 2, but we're just gonna continue. Anyways, I'm gonna touch a couple of subjects, meaning I want you guys to know about the reset of our history, how we're being lied to, and I want to present you guys with some facts, but this is gonna be just an intro. The reason why it took so long from making these videos was because I wanted to get more information, making sure I don't give you guys no bullshit or none of that. So the things that I've been looking up, or what you're gonna hear from me, is gonna be from my point of view, my perspective, the research that I've done. So I'm not trying to make you believe anything, but my job is just to share this knowledge. It's not my responsibility for you to learn. That's all up to you. But with that being said, I got a lot of friends that have been losing their kids by the system, social services. And believe it or not, that has been going on for ages. So the reason why the government takes your kids away is for many reasons. The last time they took all of our kids away was in the 1800s, when they reset history with the orphan trains. The mothers that were making kids out of wedlock, which was pretty much every single mother, because all the husbands got sent to war. So if you had a child and you were the only provider, which you couldn't provide because back then women couldn't work like that, they would take your kids. So in the 1800s, there was an explosion of orphan trains, and that's when the elite started resetting history, and they put all these rules to make it impossible for you to get your kids back, because it's a business to them. Taking your kids is a big business. So what I would recommend to the women that are going through this right now is just fight for your kids, and the best chance that you have is by getting a lawyer, all right? Because the lawyer will be able to look deep into things, and they they do know what it takes, but it's gonna be a very hard process, nearly impossible. I do have some homegirls that have got their kids back, and it took them years, but there's some fighters out there. But what they try to do is they try to make it impossible for you to get your kids back. Okay? So the best thing to do is don't have any contact with the cops. Okay? If you have like a domestic violence, if you're getting your ass beat, I suggest you don't involve the cops. I know that's a bad thing to say, but hey, you chose the vato, so deal with it. If you don't want your kids taken away, because that's the main excuse that they use, domestic violence. They make you go through all these programs, and they make it nearly impossible because that's their hustle. They make money off taking your kids. So they did this in the 1800s. They transferred thousands of trains across America, Europe, Australia, South Africa, and they were the kids that were sent to repopulate, because in the 1800s there was a lot of war, and there was the elite trying to take over America. So what the orphan trains did was they get all the kids that are pretty much orphans, and they ship them out like cattle. So let's say if you're in the Midwest and you order a 4-year-old kid with blue eyes, and you got to make sure that he's fit, because they were going to be your slaves pretty much. So that was the decent way to steal your kids, because their excuse was you can't provide for your child because you can't work, you made him out of wedlock, and your husband died in war. Because there was a civil war, supposedly civil war, but it was just like the Europeans taking over. If you look at the old pictures from the 1860s around the world, you'll see all the cities empty. Paris, New York, everywhere in the world, these cities were empty. And you ask yourself, where are the people at? Why is there so much mud on the streets? Why are there these magnificent buildings built and the streets are all fucked up, full of mud? Well, let me tell you, there was a mud flood, which, by the way things look, was man-made. And there was a minimum of 3 meters of mud. That's why you see all these buildings with windows in the bottom. The reason why those windows are in the bottom is because there was a mud flood. So if you keep digging, you're gonna find the other level of that building, and it's consistent, you know, throughout the whole world. So that was when they reset history, you know. And in the 1860s, you see the orphan trains just bloom, and out of nowhere they start putting kids in incubators. They had 80,000 kids in incubators. Like, we're not talking about orphans, we're talking about infants that are premature. You really think that many women would fuck up and not give a fuck about their kids? Come on. Shouldn't that make sense? That why would you have a kid if you know you're gonna get taken away? But back then the system was created for that same purpose, to take your child. And in the new age, since they can't do it like that, what they're doing is they're sending social workers for any little thing. Like, your kid misses school, they send you social worker. You yell at your kid and your kid complains, social worker. Your kid feels depressed, they send you social workers. No matter how good you're doing, how good you're raising your kid, like, they'll find an excuse. And once they got a grip on you, it's pretty much like, it's pretty much a perfect way to repeat history. Because back then they got the orphan trains to reset history, because the orphan trains were created to repopulate. Okay, the orphan trains was created to repopulate. That's why back then the popular stories always have an orphan in it. Annie, Oliver Twist, Peter Pan, Mowgli from Jungle Book. In the 1800s, that was popping. Orphans. And the reason why they wanted to repopulate with them was because they wanted to erase all the knowledge that the civilization before us had, because back then we used to build magnificent buildings. Put it like this, the castles back then didn't even have restrooms, and they had like 100 rooms. And you ever ask yourself why they have so many rooms and there's no restroom? Back then the way of life was better, we weren't eating processed food, so we didn't have to shit more. Our food was the sun. So once they started taking that knowledge away from us, we started living less, started shitting more. Then we had to create these sewers for our shit to go through, because our way of living and the food that we're eating is processed. It's so fucked up to this day, and it's hard to not eat it because we're so addicted to it. So I don't blame you if you're eating processed food. It's just the way that we got raised. But it is up to us to stop that. Even the fruits that we are genetically modified, so we're pretty much at the dead end right now. we already passed the age of Christ. Those 1,000 years that the Bible talks about, that already came and gone. So the time where they were making these castles and these cathedrals and everything that is still standing to this day and is beautiful and we can replicate, it's they call it Tartarian, but you can call it whatever you want. All you need to know is that there was a civilization before us that was unified, and they were giants. You know, you might be asking yourself, like, what the fuck this nigga talking about? But yes, there was giants, and we used to pretty much work with them side by side. If you look at the old maps, North America, it says Tierra del Fuego, land of the giants, which pretty much you're not gonna see anymore because they erased all that from history. You know, history is written by the winners, and obviously we know who the winners were. Europe came, invaded with the Spaniards. You know, they raped our women, they taught us Spanish, they brought religion, they did everything to bring down our vibe. So right now, everything that is created, including language, the English language, is meant to kill your vibration, pretty much. So we're at such a low state of mind that we accepted this reality, and it's gonna keep getting worse. A lot of people are waking up right now, but it's kind of a little too late. So the only thing that you could do right now is educate yourself as much as you can, build that knowledge, and understand that they are trying to wipe out, you know, the majority of us. So they're gonna reset history again. They're doing it right now in the making. That's why they spread this coronavirus and they got this pandemic, because that's the only way that they could shut down the entire world. You know, what do you think that they were doing while you guys were inside your houses? Why do you think they didn't let Hillary Clinton be president? Because she was gonna expose everything. So they're like, nah, bitch, you can't be president. You know, a lot of your leaders are clones. Me personally, I believe that Obama's a clone. Like, all these people that have a word, that have a big impact, a big following. Definitely everybody in the music business, because if you don't play their game, you pretty much can't fit in that category. It has to do with music, with politics, anything that has a big impact in our lives. You know, I'm pretty much just giving you like a brief detail of what my episodes are going to be talking about. I am going to give you more details, and I'm going to give you the facts now that I got better at, you know, photography and making videos. I'm going to put this knowledge into your mind, and I'm just here to share it with you guys. You guys don't have to believe it, you know. Oh, and another thing that I got to say is, these are just my thoughts. I'm not going to say that they're facts, you know. That's what they got. That's what they want us to say. That's exactly why they shut down my last Facebook, and they erased a lot of episodes from my YouTube, but we keep it pushing, you know. But anyways, I'm gonna make it short. I don't want to take no more of your time. It was just like a little intro. So for my episodes, expect to learn a little bit more about our history, our maps, our real history, about religion. We're gonna talk about God. We're gonna talk about the firmament. We're gonna talk about the waters above us. We're gonna talk about titans. We're gonna talk about the mountains being tree trunks. We're gonna talk about how they're controlling us. We're gonna talk about why the divorce rate went up. We're gonna talk about all kinds of things. All right. I've been researching this for over 10 years, so I'm not gonna say I'm an expert, but I got above average knowledge. And the government fucks up when they leave minds like me in the loose, because my mind opens up other minds. So yeah, I'm under the watch. I understand. This is my logo, by the way. God's Middle Finger Records. The reason why I chose God's Middle Finger Records was because I do consider myself God's middle finger, saying fuck the government, and I'm the one that fights evil with evil. I believe that I keep the balance. I could be your best friend or your worst enemy, but everything comes with the purpose, I'd rather just get along with everybody, but some people were built to be snakes, and other people just don't get it yet. But if it was up to me, I'll get along with everybody. But anyways, to make a long story short, sorry I got off subject, but yeah, this is the intro, and I'm gonna be dropping knowledge every week. I'm gonna be persistent. Now that I know what it takes for them not to delete me or give me another FBI watch, I gotta be more cautious with my words and present this as just my ideas, with facts. But it's all up to you. You do your own research, and whatever you find out, any knowledge you got, I'm open. Share it with me. And if you want to have a one-on-one, I'll give you some of my time, and I would appreciate your time. Chill, smoke a blunt, share some knowledge, whatever. But I do want to start like a church of just the truth, I'm gonna call it church, because back then church was made to share knowledge. A bunch of people just get together and share knowledge, which we don't do anymore. But hopefully I open the minds to the people in the hood. This video is for you guys. I know it's hard for you guys to get all this information, but I guess that's why I'm gonna cross your path, because I have the time. I'm blessed with not being stuck in the matrix. I don't rely on a check or nothing like that. I just go get it. But anyways, my name is Sugar Veliz, aka El Negro de Santana, God's Middle Finger Records, just sharing knowledge with you. Have a good day, and question everything. Alright?